First of all, I would like to thank you for the organizers to organize such a wonderful conference. And thank you for inviting me to speak during this Thiel and Rosenberg Peace Initiative organized international conference to discuss value of peace, heritage of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. I must appreciate your initiative for exploring as a first step to discuss and dialogue about the international struggle for peace. It is important for us, all the practitioners of peace studies, to discuss the peace heritage at the global scale. As this important conference is highlighting the significance of peace, I will be speaking about the struggle for peace and its importance and perspective in the contemporary settings. The year 2021 marks the 70th anniversary of conviction of Ethel and Rosenberg, who were convicted for espionage, but in fact, both were able to play their significant role for the prevention of nuclear war between the former USSR and the USA. The argument is justified by the United States nuclear attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki because Japan did not have any nuclear weapons to retaliate. Thus, probably the only way to stop the USA from attacking the USSR is to assist the USSR in their capacity. Indeed, it was an ambitious and dangerous choice because they sacrificed their lives for their firm belief. Apparently, they tried to save humanity from another nuclear catastrophe in the world. I will not go into the details on what happened as my other colleagues must have discussed a lot about it. Well, I will share with you about the need for peace in our contemporary world. We are entering into the 2022 and the world is far from peace. Maybe it is because life is all about activeness and challenges. But there is always a level of peace that we will need, including access to justice, health, education, clean drinking water, right to information and speak, right to work, and right to choose our governments. With the emergence of COVID-19 and with the emergence of global financial and humanitarian crisis has risen manifold, there is need for peace and stability more than ever before. We are facing the catastrophe of the crisis and climate change in the is the new threat that is emerging. Food security, water crisis, energy issues, health and global development goals are far from reality. For the past more than 70 years since the inception of the United Nations, peace has always been at the negative end in the world. There is strong need for peace building and conflict resolution and management efforts are required from all actors and stakeholders at the national level of governments, regional level and global level. Conflicts have multiple drivers, operate as systems, are often local and do not stop at state borders. Responses to a certain conflict require the influence, resources, and commitment of different people and institutions at different times. Yet, the fact that peace building should be a central place in our response to some of today's global challenges. Peace building is an enabler of development, security, social and economic justice, and reconciliation. And there are three increasingly urgent reasons why investing in peace building and conflict prevention should be high and central priority. First is the conflict have a huge humanitarian and economic impact. The majority of those risking their lives trying to reach Europe are from Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, and other areas beset of violent conflict, insecurity, or political repressions. Globally, the numbers of those forced to leave their homes due to war, persecution, or natural disasters have reached staggering heights. At the end of 2014, United Nations estimated 19.5 million of these are people who have fled their country as refugees, and half of them are children. Seen in economic terms, the impact is also huge. The Global Peace Index calculated the cost of conflict to the global economy last year to 9.21 trillion pounds, around 13.7 trillion US dollar as a result of increased military spending by states and more people driven from their jobs. Second is that finding solution through force or war will not work. At the heart of many violent conflicts, the issues of inequality, injustice, and exclusion. While criminality can feed on and into a conflict, there are often genuine and unaddressed grievances at play and expressed at violence. Many extremist armed groups don't start out that their way, they radicalize over time. All the more reason to engage with the underlying issues fueling radicalization early on. And while military force may be deployed to counter a military threat such as the Islamic State group, it cannot resolve profound underlying political, social, economic, and governance problems or sustain peace. In fact, it can sometimes complicate that task. One of the four major shifts recommended by the eminent high level independent panel, which reviewed the United Nations peace operations this year, was for the primacy of politics. Lasting peace is not achieved, not sustained by military or technical engagements, but through political solutions. Political solutions must guide all United Nations peace operations. And finally, conflict shatters lives and destroys development. More than 1.5 billion people live in countries affected by violent conflict, and the gap between those countries enjoying relative peace and those affected by conflict is growing. The newly adopted Sustainable Development Goals respond to the fact that no low-income conflict-affected country achieved a single one of the framework's predecessor, the Millennium Development Goals, peace-building approaches, including mediation and diplomacy, dialogue, and practitioners, are an essential part of the toolkit we need to meet Goal 16 to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. It is high time for the world to unite on the anti-nuclear and anti-war issues and highlight contribution of Rosenberg for building humanity with sincerity and deep sense of purpose to make the best of it. Thank you very much for inviting me and providing this opportunity to speak my presentation on this important occasion. Thank you. Thank you very much.